Welcome to What in the World of News. I'm Leanna Quisto, and I'm very excited to introduce you to this new series developed by Ads24 aimed at interrogating the opinions, insights and myths about the value, credibility and future of news for the South African public and advertisers in the country. We have the privilege today of chatting with MJ Lourens, the editor of NetNess.
Thank you very much.
I think first off, NetNess is still in its infancy. It's a baby app, probably not by its subscription. Could you give us a little bit of an overview of the application, what it consists of and really how it works and the value it brings to the community?
Cool. So NetNess is news in a flash, basically. It's very short and concise news. We try and rewrite our articles and things that we aggregate so that it fills the need for people who want to consume news in less time. So essentially what we do is condense news and we give an overview of a lot more content and fill the gap that I have 5 minutes to catch up on everything and that's what we're doing.
That's one of the key shifts I think everybody's noticed in the consumption of content, I suppose. People have less time and they're interested in a lot more. What other shifts have you seen happening in the world of media that you believe are affecting the way that people are consuming content and particularly news content, I suppose?
Yes, so obviously there are a lot of new platforms that are springing up and the different demographics in terms of age. You'll have the youngsters consuming maybe CNN on Snapchat, whereas I would consume it on TV or on their actual website. I think that has been one of the major shifts in the consumption of news.
So there's a lot changing specifically in your environment, platforms, channels, I suppose, the way content is consumed. If you had to predict the next 5 years, what else, how else do you see this environment changing in the future?
The thing is, news will be around forever. It's going to be who's disrupting what and what's going to happen, how are we going to take it up or how are we going to tackle it or counter it to stay alive in this business.
And I suppose the integrity and credibility of news is going to rise in importance because you've got so many more places where people have access to so many more things, and how do you know if it's true and how do you know if it's not?
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about your specific community that NetNess targets, the Afrikaans community. I think there are a lot of myths and assumptions about the South African Afrikaans community. How would you describe the community that you serve?
The Afrikaans community that NetNess serves are extremely loyal. Yeah. We've won a Bookmark Award and our frequency of return is the highest of all South African news apps. Sure. So people are returning 32 times a month, meaning they really like this. And as somebody said, if you're an Afrikaans artist in South Africa and an Afrikaans person likes you, they like you for life.
Absolutely.
If they feel part of you, they will stick around forever.
And I suppose communicating with this community in their language in an authentic way is also critically important.
Definitely. The part of the success of NetNess is the balance between, yes, there is bad news and sad news, but there's also a lot of humor and weird and wonderful kind of content, but in Afrikaans and in a way that resonates with this Afrikaans community.
And what are some of the tips that you would give advertisers to best or most effectively use this platform if they wanted to make it part of their advertising strategy?
So the objective of the clients or the advertisers, they need to define that very clearly for the Afrikaans community. And then having said that, if you want to speak to an Afrikaans community, you need to speak to them in their specific environment, in their specific tone of voice that they resonate to. So it's crucial to convey the message to them as they would receive it in their platforms or where they spend their time.
Yeah, I think that's very relevant for any sector of the community. Talk to me in my language and in a way that makes me feel that you understand me. Definitely. And I'll like you for life.
And if you do that, I think a user would have a lot more respect for your brand as well. Definitely. Because you get me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Excellent, MJ. Thank you very much for your time. We really do appreciate you spending the morning with us. And to our viewers, please stay tuned for our next series.